Hello, this is Edward John Green Captain, and today we're going to talk about the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall was constructed on August 13, 1961, and it was a concrete barrier that divided Berlin from 1961 to 1989. According to History.com, a 12-foot wall, 4-foot wide mass of reinforced concrete was topped with an enormous pipe that made climbing over nearly impossible. The construction of the Berlin Wall was unjustified and oppressive to the people of Berlin, since it removed freedom away from people. The purpose of Berlin Wall was to defend against fascist movements pervading Berlin, which was also represented as an anti-fascist protective wall. Mussolini was an Italian politician, journalist, and leader of the National Fascist Party, ruling the country as prime minister from 1922 to 1943. Ooh, I know Mussolini. Wasn't he the prime minister of Italy in the early 1900s? He ruled constitutionally until 1925, when he dropped all pretense of democracy and set up a legal dictatorship. Now let's talk about the actual construction of the Berlin Wall. According to an article on Wikipedia, on June 15, 1961, First Secretary of the Socialist Unity Party in GDR State, Council Chairman Walter Ulbricht used the term Mauer, which means wall in German. The first time this was in context in an international press conference. Quote, "No one has the intention of erecting a wall." The transcript of a telephone call between Nikita Khrushchev and Ulbricht on August 1st that year suggests the initiative of the construction of the wall of Khrushchev. But there are also some other sources that suggest Khrushchev was worried about a wall because he feared a negative Western reaction. But Ulbricht had pushed for a border closure for quite some time, arguing that East Germany's very existence was at stake. At midnight, the police and units of the East German army began to close the border. By Sunday morning, August 13th, the border with West Berlin was closed. East German troops and workers had begun to separate streets by installing impassable wires and fences, which made the majority of the vehicles and people incapable of traversing to West Berlin. At the end of World War II, the Allied powers divided Germany into 4 zones, each occupied by the United States, Great Britain, France, or the Soviet Union. The same was done with Germany's capital city, Berlin. As the relationship between the Soviet Union and the other 3 Allied powers worsened, the cooperativeness of the occupation of Germany changed aggressively. The pressure of Allied powers turned Germany into West versus East, and democracy versus communism. This was the major reason why the Berlin Wall was built. Most of the people attempted to escape the Berlin Wall to reach the other side. Only a minority of people were successful. Most people were shot when they approached the end, where it was known as the Death Strip. The Death Strip was a small portion of the land between East and West Berlin. The guards were allowed to shoot anyone who tried to cross it. People got through when the wall was not fortified, but when the concrete wall was put up, escaping was impossible. It's time for the open letter to Miss Stack. In all, at least 171 people were killed trying to get over the wall. Many fled as the barriers closed. People were making dashes towards the western side, encouraged by watching crowds. The construction of the Berlin Wall was unjustified and oppressive to the people of Berlin, since it removed freedom away from people. People in Berlin also suffered from the persecution and abuse from the government. The Berlin Wall was negatively influential to the people in and out of Berlin. The wall divided families and made them unable to visit each other. Countless East Berliners lost their jobs and were unemployed, which made the economy extremely unstable. Because of this wall, trade between people from West and East Berlin stopped. State deficits were overwhelming, and Berlin couldn't be a part of the world competition. The complaint and dissatisfaction of the citizens were influential to tear the Berlin Wall down. And now, let's talk about the deconstruction of the Berlin Wall. Ooh, I know. Isn't Ronald Reagan the one who caused many of the events that happened in 1989, including the fall of the Berlin Wall? Well, Jimmy, not quite. President Ronald Reagan was one of the many reasons that caused the destruction of the Berlin Wall. His speeches in the West Berlin on June 12, 1987 were calling for the leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, to open up the barrier that separated West and East Berlin since 1961. But regardless of his contributions, he was not the most influential figure for the fall of the Berlin Wall. Since the vastly outnumbered guards had no way to hold back the huge crowd of East German citizens, and that there were no authorities that would take responsibility for issuing orders to use lethal force due to these conflicts, at 10:45 p.m., Harald Hager, who was the commander of Bornholmer Strait Border, allowed the guards to clear the checkpoints with allowed people through without security inspection. Reagan's followers believe that his speech was a turning point and had a big role in starting the events in 1989. More than 2 million people from East Berlin visited West Berlin that weekend to participate in a celebration that was, one journalist wrote, the greatest street party in the history of the world. This is Eddie John Green, Captain, and thank you for watching our crash course on the Berlin Wall. And now I will play you this beautiful piece by Beethoven while you watch the credits.